My name is Lisa Martinez, and this is the story of how my mother-in-law's dream vacation became the setting for her most humiliating defeat. A quiet reminder that sometimes, the people you underestimate are the ones holding all the power. I met David Anderson while working as a barista at a small cafe, juggling shifts between classes while finishing my master's in business. Unlike most of the wealthy regulars, David wasn't condescending or dismissive. He treated me like an equal, with warmth, sincerity, and no trace of entitlement. We fell in love, and for a moment, I believed in fairy tales. That illusion shattered the moment I met his mother, Eleanor Anderson. Eleanor wasn't just wealthy, she was generational wealth, country club pedigree, private jet elite, and from the moment she laid eyes on me, she made it her mission to remind me I didn't belong. Darling, she'd coo to David while I sat beside him. Didn't the Rothschild girl just return from Paris? Still single, I hear. But David stood his ground. We had a simple, beautiful wedding that Eleanor called quaint, which was her polite way of saying beneath us. For the next 3 years, I endured her icy condescension at every family gathering. Oh Lisa, is that a department store dress? Or, how lovely that you don't have to work anymore. Must be such a relief after coffee service. What Eleanor didn't know, what she never bothered to ask, was that while I was grinding beans and writing papers, I was also investing. I'd gotten into cryptocurrency early and played the long game, quietly, carefully. My portfolio had grown into a fortune enough to make even the Anderson legacy look modest. David knew, of course, but we kept it private. Then came the tipping point. Each year, Eleanor planned a lavish family vacation, a tradition she used to assert dominance. This year, she outdid herself. The announcement came over an extravagant dinner in her chandelier-lit dining room. I've planned something truly special, she beamed. The entire Royal Pearl Island resort booked for 2 weeks. Private beaches, chefs, helicopter tours, only the best for the Andersons. The room buzzed with excitement. Royal Pearl was legendary, exclusive, expensive, and nearly impossible to reserve. Then she turned to me. Lisa, dear, she began, her voice syrupy with false sweetness. Given how refined this destination is, perhaps it's best if you sit this one out. These kinds of environments can be overwhelming for someone from your background. David's jaw clenched. If Lisa's not going, he said, then neither am I. Eleanor's smile vanished. Don't be absurd, the whole family will be there. Your cousins are flying in from Europe. You can't skip it over a misunderstanding. Charlotte, David's sister, chimed in. She's right. Lisa looked so out of place at the yacht club last year, remember? I gently placed a hand on David's arm. It's all right, I said. Go, be with your family. Eleanor's eyes sparkled with smug satisfaction. She thought she'd won. What she didn't know, what no one knew, was that I'd been planning something too. 6 months earlier, I overheard Eleanor gushing about Royal Pearl and her intent to book it, so I made a few discreet inquiries. The resort had been bleeding money amid the global downturn. Its owner was desperate for a quiet, no-drama sale. Through a series of anonymous shell companies, I bought it. Not only had I acquired the Royal Pearl Resort, I had purchased the entire island. Quietly, strategically, I kept the original staff in place and made no waves, because I knew this day would come. The morning the Andersons boarded their private jet to the Maldives, I placed a single call. It was time to set things in motion. Eleanor had no idea that her dream vacation was about to become a lesson in humility, a reminder that appearances are not always what they seem. As their jet soared through the clouds, I sat in my home office, laptop open, sipping espresso. The resort's live security feeds played across the screen. In just a few hours, they'd land in a paradise they thought they owned, only to find out it now belonged to the coffee girl they tried to leave behind. I smiled and dialed the resort manager. Phase 2, I said simply. Yes, ma'am, James replied. We're ready. The Andersons arrived that afternoon, the sun casting a golden glow over the island's white sands and turquoise waves. Eleanor led the group with her usual air of superiority, her designer heels crunching against imported marble walkways as she took in the sights with calculated satisfaction. This is perfect, she declared. Just perfect. I'll have the presidential villa, of course. James met them at the entrance with a serene smile. Welcome to Royal Pearl Island. We've been expecting you. Eleanor nodded regally. Excellent. I assume everything is prepared? Mostly, James said. glancing at his tablet. There's been a slight change. The presidential villa is currently occupied. Eleanor blinked, confused. By whom? We booked the entire island. There shouldn't be any other guests. The owner is on site, James said evenly, and they always reserve the presidential villa when in residence. The owner? Eleanor's voice cracked. Who is this owner? I demand to speak with them immediately. Of course, if you'll follow me to the main pavilion. They've left a message just for you. The Andersons were led to a breezy open-air pavilion, perched above the ocean. As they settled into the plush lounge chairs, a large screen flickered to life. And then, there I was. Hello, Anderson family, my recorded voice said warmly. Welcome to my island. Yes, you heard that right. I own Royal Pearl Island Resort as well as several other luxury properties around the world. The camera panned slightly as I smiled into it. On the resort feed, I watched Eleanor freeze in stunned silence. Her mouth parted, but no words came. David grinned, trying, and failing, to suppress his delight. Charlotte looked like she might faint. You see, I continued, while some of you were busy mocking me for making coffee and questioning my worth, I was building an empire. That coffee girl you dismissed? She's now wealthier than the Andersons have ever been. Eleanor collapsed into the nearest seat, her handbag slipping from her hand. Charlotte looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. Now, about your accommodations, I said with a sweet smile. Eleanor, you'll be staying in the economy villa. It's cozy, humble, the kind of place you suggested was more fitting for someone like me. I thought you'd enjoy the authenticity. The room erupted in protest. This is outrageous, Eleanor screeched. I paid for the presidential villa. Actually, James interjected, your deposit was refunded. The owner's discretion takes priority. The video kept rolling. Oh, and Eleanor, remember when you said luxury resorts could be overwhelming for someone from my background? Let's test that theory. I've arranged a small assignment for you, for the duration of your stay. You'll be working at the beach bar, 3 hours a day. Uniform provided. Consider it a crash course in humility. Eleanor's face contorted with fury. I will not. Do you know who I am? Yes, James replied calmly. You're the mother-in-law of our owner, and the terms are non-negotiable. You're welcome to leave, but the next flight off the island isn't for 3 days. Panic spread. Phones had no signal. Wi-Fi was mysteriously down. Attempts to book a helicopter failed, all part of my plan. For the next 2 weeks, the mighty Eleanor was stripped of her crown. She poured cocktails in a uniform 2 sizes too large. She fetched drinks for guests she once would have sneered at. She scrubbed sand from cabanas under the watchful eye of the same staff she used to ignore. And every time she passed the presidential villa, she had to watch me lounging with David, sipping champagne, living the life she thought she deserved. And that, dear reader, is how my mother-in-law's dream vacation became a very exclusive, very humbling reality check. Eleanor Anderson served drinks to her own family that week, wearing the same uniform she once sneered at. Her name badge caught the sun with every tray she carried. E. Anderson, trainee. But this isn't just a story about revenge. On the final day of their stay, I flew to the island. I found her behind the beach bar, wilted under the tropical heat. Gone were the designer sunglasses and air of superiority. In their place stood a woman tired, maybe humbled. I sat down at the bar. Having fun? She looked up, her expression unreadable. Then, softly, why did you do all this? Because someone had to show you that worth isn't measured in bloodlines or bank balances. I said, every person who handed you a towel or cleaned your room deserves the same respect you demand for yourself. Her eyes welled with tears. I never saw it that way. I know, I said gently, that was the problem. From that day on, Eleanor changed. Truly changed. She returned home a different woman, quieter, more present. She launched a foundation offering scholarships and career development for service workers. And, more importantly, she learned to see the people behind the uniforms. Our family gatherings became warmer. She asked servers about their lives, remembered their names, their dreams. That Christmas, she insisted on serving dinner herself. It helps me stay grounded, she said, and meant it. The Royal Pearl Resort remains in my name, but now it includes a unique program, one Eleanor helps lead, where the wealthy come to spend a week working in service roles, not as punishment, as perspective. David and I still have coffee every morning at the cafe where we met. Sometimes, Eleanor joins us, laughing with the baristas she once ignored, asking how school is going, what their goals are. Last week, she gave me a photo album, handmade. On the final page, she'd written, "Thank you for teaching me that the best view in life doesn't come from the top, it comes from seeing others clearly." I keep that album in my office at the resort, not as a trophy, but as a reminder. Sometimes the greatest luxury isn't silk sheets or Michelin stars, it's a heart changed for the better. And Eleanor? She still works one shift a month at the beach bar. She says it keeps her honest.